Two, and there we go. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Kageyama, and I'd like to welcome everyone here to the Cancer Conquering Community. I'm a stage 4 prostate, bone, and lung cancer patient slash survivor. Been dealing with cancer since late 2020, early 2021, and I am so thankful and blessed to be here. A woman named Katie Gaspari and I started this beautiful community back in September of 2021, and it's morphed as we've gone along. We started it on Clubhouse, and since then, I think it's been about at least a year now since we switched over to Zoom. And we also have a Facebook page. If you're not a member of that, you reach out to myself or Lihia, and we'll send you an invite. We also have a Cancer Conquering Community YouTube channel, and we post all of our recorded videos on our page. And we have weekly meetings with speakers, guest panels, open sessions, and it's a great community. It's a great place to connect with people, and that's such an important thing about cancer is connecting with people who've been on the same journey. And we'll talk about more, I'm sure, about that. And what I'd like to do right now is introduce my two guests, co-hosts, Tim Sohn and Russ Hedge. Originally, how this all came about
Mhm.
was Amanda Ferraro and Tim Sohn. We interviewed Tim, Amanda and I, on his show, Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer, and they came up with this wild idea. Hey, can we, like interview you on Cancer Conquering Community? I was like, okay. So that's how all that came about. And you could tell in that smile, I'm just, I have no idea what they're going to be asking, but why don't we hand it over to, let me start with Tim. Let me hand it over to Tim. And Tim, if you'd like to mention about the in-person event that you have coming up and tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer. And also, Russ is very involved as well. I call Russ Mr. Positivity because he's just such a positive
Oh,
person and such a beautiful human being. Both of them are. So, Tim, go ahead.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for having me and Russ here today. Um, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Tim Sohn. I'm an 18-year chronic myeloid leukemia survivor slash patient. And I'm also the host of a weekly live stream show called Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer, which is a show that Mark has shown up for many episodes on. He's been a victim, a guest of the show before. And Lihia here has been in the comments many times, and I know Dr. New, and I'm sure other people here as well. So thank you for all of your support. And Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer is we do many things, but one of the things is the in-person event that we do. This is our fourth annual in-person event. Mark was the keynote speaker for one of them. He did an incredible job, so shout out to Mark. And this year's event is October 3rd to 5th. It's in New York. It's in a town called Garrison, New York. And the idea, Mark's used the word connect before. And really, the most awesome thing about the event is us all together, coming together, supporting each other, and connecting with each other. It's led to many friendships and collaborations and other things. And if you'd like more information, you could go to perspectivesoncancer.com for that. But yeah,
You
that's a
forgot
little bit.
something.
What did I forget?
Who's the keynote?
The keynote is James Keysewetter.
And James is a member of our community here. So
Awesome.
if you want to see James, it's there's nothing, Zoom is great. We can all get together, from around the country, around the world. Uh, but to actually be in person is just really, really special. So thanks, Tim, for hosting that. I'll hand it back to you.
Oh, it's me.
Hmm.
Uh, I think that's all I have to say. Do you want Russ to
Okay.
introduce himself?
Yes, please.
well, hello, everybody. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Mark. I was blessed
Thanks,
to
Russ.
meet both of you at the Live Perspectives on Cancer conference a couple of years ago, and been able to go the last year as well. Was one of the speakers and planning to be there this year again. We're gonna do some fun stuff this year, right, Tim? Who says because you have cancer
Yes.
you can't have fun, right?
Yeah, Russ is gonna get us warmed up in the morning. I don't know with what, but with Russ, it's gonna be fun.
It's going to be fun. We know that for sure. He has no idea what I'm going to do, but it's going to be fun. So, no, my name is Russ Hedge, and I have was diagnosed with cancer in the fall of 2022. What we thought was a wart on the bottom of my foot ended up being melanoma. It metastasized to my groin. After a couple surgeries and a couple rounds of treatment and a lot of hardship on my body, um, they thought they got everything. It looked good and no sign of disease. And I was praising God and thankful. And then about 10 months later, of August of last year, um, cancer showed up again. And it was not only in my groin, but it was also my lungs and my brain. And then it re showed up on my foot where it started. So the good news is that the treatment that they did shrunk the cancer. The radiation they did got rid of the cancer in my brain, and the treatment they did on my foot got rid of the cancer in my foot. So there's still cancer remaining in my groin and lungs, but it's smaller. So, but then I ended up in the hospital because of side effects again. Cancer treatment shutting down parts of my body, and so we decided that wasn't a good thing. So I'm on pause, trusting God and believing it's going to continue to shrink and go away. I have my scan in 2 weeks. They will tell me in 2 weeks where I'm at. This will be my second scan since we paused the treatment. And so looking forward to good news and trusting God for good news in a couple weeks on that. And yeah, I'm just a happy guy here to inspire and encourage everybody and let you know that in the middle of challenges in your life, you can still have a good attitude and a good perspective, and you can still move forward and you're still alive and can do things. So that's what I'm all about. But I love this opportunity to interview Mark because I first met Mark interviewing him on one of my live streams. And Mark was awesome. So I'm ready to go.
Sounds good. The floor is yours. So let's get going with this. I'm not sure what to call it.
I'd be scared. Tim and I whipped up some really, really tough questions, Mark. So, Tim, take it away.
Yeah, we were up
And
all
and
night working
I have
together on
no
this.
idea what they're
All
going to
night.
ask. So
Yes.
Mark, so let's start here. Could you tell us a little bit about your cancer journey and then what led you to create this heartfelt community here?
um, tell you a little bit about my cancer journey. I in late October of 2020, out of the blue, and this is, if you think back, this was right when COVID was just starting to rumble and roar. And prior to that, I was working out regularly. I'd work out like 4 to 5 times a week. I was in great shape, and I had been doing that for decades. And so I was in a routine, and it was a normal thing. Then all of a sudden, COVID hit, and I wasn't able to go to the gym. And I was really, really concerned about the impact that it would have. And out of the blue, one morning I was not able to get out of bed. I mean, I just couldn't do it. And
Um,
I said to my wife, "Hey, something's wrong." Because I mean, I've always considered myself to be, up until that time, I considered myself to be, indestructible almost, and just taking things as they come. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I couldn't even get out of bed. So she helped me to somehow get out of bed, took me to the doctor, and the doctor patched me up temporarily, and I could barely walk. I had to use a walker. In fact, he had a wheelchair, wheeled me into his office, and fixed me up temporarily. But I realized at that time that I had to do some serious, serious digging into what was wrong because something was wrong. Uh, and it had me very, very concerned. So I went to the doctor. They assigned me an oncologist, and I went through months and months of testing. And so the first thing that I did was, while I was getting tested, I had my daughter with me at that time, and she stayed with me for 2.5 months. And I came up with the idea that I wanted to start a YouTube channel. And so To Be Your Own Hero was created, and that started in early 2021. And I posted a new video, and I also have a Rumble channel now also, which came in great, very, very handy because of what happened with YouTube. And I have been semi-censored before, but not like what happened with Dr. Gary last week. So started my YouTube channel, and at first it started off, I was just talking and trying to chronicle and share my cancer journey. And I look back, and it was horrible. It was really bad. I was in bad shape. I was in real bad shape. I was weak. I was very thin. I was down to 123 pounds at that time. I was down way, way down. And now I'm probably 165. I'm not really sure at this very second, but I was not in good shape. Developed my YouTube channel, and now it's come to the point where I interview people weekly, or give updates, or talk about subjects important to cancer. And what this channel is all about, it's not your normal cancer channel. Your normal cancer channel is, oh, I have this cancer and I've done this and I do that. What To Be Your Own Hero is all about is about giving anybody, it doesn't matter if you have cancer or not, giving anybody hope and inspiration. And so I posted a video without missing ever since it started, and uh, I'm, I plan on continuing to do that. The way this community started um, was back in September of 2021, that same year that I got diagnosed. And a friend of mine, Katie Gaspari, and we decided to start the Cancer Conquering Community. And so we started that in September of 2021. She has since moved on, but in fact, I still chat with her regularly. Uh, and she's very, very busy, and she's like become a farmer essentially, and harvests her own vegetables and everything like that. Always sending me videos about all. It's pretty amazing. And I was close to her because I'd like go over there and take some of her vegetables. But anyway, that's how it all started, Tim.
So I'm
Thank
going
you,
to jump
Mark.
in here.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in
Yes.
here, Mark, and I'm going to say, I was completely inspired the first time we got online together. We had a few challenges getting online the first time, you and I, but we finally pulled it off. And I learned so much about all that was going on with you. And that was before I was diagnosed with cancer.
Right.
And you were completely inspiring to me on the fact that you told me I just decided I was not going to die and I was just going to move forward. And I love that. And there's a scripture in Psalms 118:17, which is my favorite, that says, I will not die, but live and proclaim the works, proclaim what the Lord has done. And I have rested in that scripture and believed that God's not done with me yet. And you've heard me say it over and over and over. That inspiration came from you. How hard was that for you? I know what it was like for me, but how hard was that for you when you couldn't get out of bed and then had to flip the script and decide, I'm not going to die, but live?
That's a great question, Russ. Thank you. So that takes me back to when I got diagnosed. So I was assigned an oncologist, and so after months of testing, and I knew something was wrong. I knew something was really wrong because you don't get every test in the book, without there being something wrong. Because she was just going from one place to the other and testing. And the thought that ran through my mind when all of this was going on is, how in the world did a human being figure out how to do this invasive, just, I mean, terrible stuff to another person? Because let's face it, the testing is horrible. So I knew something was wrong at that point. And so finally, my oncologist called me into her office, called my wife and I into her office. And I'll never forget that day because, certain days in your life, as you know, it just remains etched in your mind. And that was one for me. So she brought us into her office and she said, I'm going to cut to the chase. She said, your cancer is so bad that I can't cure you. And she said, you have stage 4 prostate, bone, and lung cancer. And I suggest you get your affairs in order because, you know, I don't know how long you're going to be around, but I don't think it's going to be very long. And I will do my best to make your remaining days as comfortable as possible. So my wife, being my wife, right away she's like, rushing us in to get all the paperwork done. I mean, a lot of the things that we had talked about, doing, she said, "Oh, we got to do them now." I said, "Okay." And so I went along with that. We got, all the living trusts and wills and all that kind of stuff done. But the impression that, and this is what actually happened. I was okay with what my oncologist said. And the reason was because up until that time, I had no idea what I was dealing with. I knew it was like something not good, but I didn't know. So I was actually relieved to find out what I was actually dealing with. And so I came up with a plan, and I thank the good Lord for helping me in this. I used LinkedIn to connect with patients and survivors all over the world. And the reason I did that was, and that's what we have here, is we have a community in one place. At that time, I just started reaching out individually to cancer patients and survivors because I wanted to hear from the horse's mouth exactly what they did. And so the thing that really left an impression on me was how willing and how wonderful these people were that I was connecting with. These people were so willing to open up and share everything that they did. Very, and I thought, wow, that's incredible. That's absolutely incredible that these people that I didn't even know, that I just connected with, are so willing to help me. And there are some people that, I would chat with every day, and I just met them and they said, they told me exactly what they were doing. So as a result, uh, another thing that I did was I worked a lot on my mind, a lot on my mind. And, to Russ's point, I refused to die. I said, I have too much to do on this earth and I'm going to live. And that's what I told myself every single day. And I set my first goal my first goal was I wanted to make my birthday in June. And so I said, man, if I could make my birthday in June, and this was January, remember, then I think that I can make it. So the morning of my birthday, which is coming up, and I'm not going to give you the date, but it's real soon. Lee is smiling. Um, the morning of my birthday, I opened my eyes and I literally cried. I literally cried because I had reached a major, major goal in my journey. And so for me, I was just so, so happy. But what was fascinating about the day was, and it turned out to be the best birthday I've ever had by far. So my daughter was there, and that was such an incredible gift in itself. My daughter Lisa, and it's actually her birthday today, and yeah, she's uh, had today. I'll tell you, she'll probably stab me for it, but it's her 40th birthday today, and yeah, it's a great day for her and us. But I had my daughter Lisa there with me, and she in that afternoon of my birthday, she sat me down and opened up my laptop, and I said, and she's filming me. I said, "What are you doing?" And she says, just push play and you'll see." And so my two daughters, Tani and Lisa, Lisa's the 40-year-old, and Tani has a birthday coming up in June, and it's a big birthday, milestone birthday for her as well. And so I pressed play and started watching a video, and they put together a video with friends and family. There was, I don't know, 15, 20 people on. And at the very end, one of our friends came on and said, "Hey, I have a real special guest that wants to wish you a happy birthday." And I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? And she's filming me the whole time. And none other, and this is on my YouTube channel, none other than Kevin Hart, the Kevin Hart, the comedian, the actor, came on to wish me a happy birthday. And I said, man, it doesn't get any better than this. Had actually seen Kevin Hart live 3 times. We're in the front row, so we were huge fans, and it was just fun. And so that was the most memorable birthday I've ever had.
Well, hey, I want to follow up with a couple of things on that, Mike. First of all, I think we've talked about this before. My birthday is also in June. Great month to have birthdays. And I think that making small term goals is a good thing, but it's all in your mindset. My doctors told me, I don't know what your doctors told you, but they told me that my positive mindset and perspective was the number one thing going for me, that would help me more than anything. And I'm telling you, it has, I don't honestly know. My faith has kept me strong. In fact, has gotten stronger through this journey. I'm not sure how people make it without a faith journey, but it is something that I have to continue to choose every day. Since that first day that you chose that, cancer is always hanging over your head, right? When I go to my scans, I'm expecting good news. My beautiful wife is always worried that they're going to hit us with, oh my goodness, it's back. And that did happen once already. So she's always worried about that. How do you keep your positive attitude and keep going through it after that initial choice? Something I have to choose every day. What do you do to keep yourself strong?
Great question. I think Now it's just a part of who I am. I mean, it's that's me. But during my cancer journey, what I used was I used my bathroom mirror every single day. And I would look, I'd wake up and I would talk to myself and I'd look in the mirror every single day and I'd say, today is going to be a great day. Today is going to be better than yesterday. And I set small goals. Like I had such a hard time walking every single day. And it would take me 10 minutes to walk across an average room, and I had to use a cane. I was very unstable, but I set small goals. And, if yesterday I took 15 steps, today I would take 16 or 17 steps and accept, you know, I was I was to the point where I was working out and it was just a regular thing. And I was curling up to 25 pounds an arm. And when I started back to using weights, I had to go back down to 1 pound. I was so weak, but that was okay. And you know why it was okay? Because I was alive. I was alive to be able to have the opportunity to use the weights and to start to get stronger. And so, as we speak today, I'm up to back up to 15 pounds curling per arm. I don't know if I'll ever get back to where I was. That's pretty lofty, and uh, you know, I'm going to keep trying. But at this point, I'm not sure it was. But I use my mirror. I use my mirror not as much as I did before because it was such an important pivotal time in my journey and my life. And so I had to I had to make sure. I'm gonna do some muting here. There we go. It was such a pivotal time in my life that it was very important for me to really focus and really believe what I was projecting. And the fascinating thing about it now is, I'm on the internet all the time doing videos and Cancer Conquering Community and other platforms. In fact, after this is over, I have another call with another gentleman. You start projecting a certain uh, persona about who you are. But to me, what is really important is being who you are projecting. And so that's why it's so easy now to just, you know, it's who I am. It's being positive all the time. And it's for me, it's been a great way to live. And it's a great way to go through the day because, life is not easy. And I think we tend to make it a lot harder than it is. And we become prisoners of our own mind. And so, uh, yes, Georges has something to mention. Go ahead, Georges.
Excellent stuff that you're sharing, and Ross and Tim. One thing that is mentioned, and I think it was Ross, is the mindset. What I see in this group is resilience, is faith. Without faith, you can't start a day, or without faith and hope. But the mindset, and everybody has a different story. In my case, when they discovered the 8 melanoma tumors in my brain, I actually reached out to one of my tennis buddies. We represented our country as juniors, and he's a doctor and also a surgeon. And I asked him if he could come home. And so I wanted to now, after 8 years, now I have this stuff in my brain. So he came home and I said, why don't you get in? You have access to the New England Medical Journal. I forget the exact name. So he came. He was off and he came. The kids were in school. My wife was working. And he logged in and he looked at it. At that time, Senator Kennedy was having some tumors in his brain, if you remember, Ted Kennedy. And he passed. And I was just diagnosed. So he looked at it, he read, and he said that I had a 4% chance of survival. So him being like me from the Mediterranean, he's 6'4", he started to shed some tears, and let me read it. So I read it. This is about the mindset. So I read it, and I looked up at him. I sat down, I got up, and I say, hey, Steve, why can't I be one of those 4? In fact, I'll be one of those 4. And this is 12 years ago. So yeah, mindset, faith, taking a leap of faith in many directions. I did like you did. My wife and I actually drove around the cemetery to pick up I just had to do some of those things. But with 5 young kids, I always said since I was diagnosed, this can't be. It is not my time. So I like to also share something. Our problems, all of our problems, end up being somebody else's solution. If we really make that goal in our minds, even sick, even, being still with some of that stuff lingering around, like Russ was saying, serve others. That's healing. That was it. I just wanted to share that.
Thank you so much. Dr. Gary has something to mention?
Wow, Georges, you took the words right out of all of our mouths. I resonate so much with that, and I wanted to just mention something that Mark, personifies, and that is, in bringing together this community of servant leader champions for good health and for conquering any of the horrible conditions that we come up with. You all absolutely right. Russ, Tim, Mark, Georges, Lihia. Resilience is probably one of my favorite words, and mindset. And we never heard about mindset coaching or mindfulness or, many years ago, it was just like, have a positive attitude and things can get better. Have faith, believe in God and he can take care of everything. Now, we've assembled a community here, and I applaud you for that, of resilient, surviving, mentors and life coaches. It's amazing because resilience is really an important word. It means that we can not take what is handed to us standing or sitting, and we can say, you know what, it's up to me, it's up to God first, and it's up to me. My mom, similar to your experience, Mark, when she had liver cancer and breast cancer, she was irradiated for acne at age 14 by a very stupid dermatologist. That caused thyroid cancer years later. And after that, in my young adult years, the thyroid cancer, when they cleaned the margins with iodine, they didn't get all the margins. It metastasized to the breast, adenocarcinoma of the breast during my life. And then 18 years later, to the liver. And the doctor sat us down, like Mark's doc, and probably many of yours, very arrogant oncologist, extremely arrogant, trying to play God. And he sat the whole family down in a room and he said, Rose, you have 4 months to live, pack your bags. in a cold, I mean, it just sends chills because the whole family, our mouths dropped. This man had no positivity, no faith. He was obviously an atheist. But either way, my mom looked, she smiled. My mom, very strong medical management person, very strong willed, very strong minded, not unlike me. And she basically said, "Hey, Doc, thank you so much for sharing. We're going to be leaving now because I've got so much living to do." Um, and we left. And the doc's mouth was just like, "Okay." We left. I made a commitment. I have three sisters. I made a commitment to be with my mom the whole, the way I was closest. And we went to chemotherapy for 2 years. Um, we spent, every Monday, 1% UCLA chemotherapy and 99% walks on the beach and lunches. Basically, my mom and I had a chance to just close. And she said she was a fighter. She said, "Nobody's going to put a limit on my life." So your story and all of our stories are testimonies of that. And her faith was not even as strong as mine and yours, all of yours. She believed in God, and she believed that there's a goodness in people, and that you can always bring out the good in people. She was just in that kind, and she lived 2 years and passed on her own time frame without hospice. But either way, it's wonderful.
Thank you, Dr. Gary. I want to go to Russ because he's got to take off in a few minutes. Russ, did you have something you want to add?
Well, first of all, I love this community. And those of you who know me well, I'm all about community and connecting. And if we're not connected, by the way, please reach out. I'd love to do a one-on-one with all of you. Um, Really, I am just inspired and thankful for Mark, inspired for this community, thankful for positive lights and influence, just like Dr. Gary just said, and George's. I mean, people that, and as Mark originally said, that are not willing to roll over and die, not let other people take the power of life away from you. And we all, someone said to me the other day, "Are you living well, but are you dying well?" And what they meant by that is, from the day we're born, we're all dying at one point. And it's not a negative thing. It's just we have a time frame of how long we're going to be on this earth. We're mortal. We're not going to live forever. That's not a bad thing. What that should do, and what it does for me, is inspire you to live every day like it's your last opportunity to inspire someone to make an impact on the world. And I tell you, if I can help in any way with any of you, I would love to do that. I would love to have you, Georges, and Dr. Gary, and any of you that are interested on. I have several live streams. Would love to have a conversation on there as well. Um, but I think that how we lift each other up and how we build each other up inspires us to live whatever time we have left. And I love what you just said, Dr. Gary, that your mom passed on her own time frame. It's all going to happen. But when someone tells you, "Pack your bags," or there's nothing else I can do for you, well, there's a God in heaven that actually determines our steps and how long we're going to be here. And our attitude towards life that they've given us, that choice, is a big impact on that. So that's how I want to encourage everybody. And I'm so thankful for Mark, for Tim in my life, and all of you. And I have a few more minutes, but I got to run at the top of the hour. And thank you so much for being part of this. Tim, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Russ. And I saw Amanda Ferraro was here. She just got back from the doctor. I don't know if she wants to ask. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, don't mind me. I'm not feeling well, but I'm
Aw.
here.
We're all
Thank you,
sending you a
Amanda.
big hug. A big hug.
Thank you. And if you think you're sick, go to the doctor because it can turn into something way worse than you thought it was. Oh my goodness. So last week when last Wednesday I spoke in DC and I thought it was allergies. Everybody's having allergies. It's really bad. Like from my stem cell donor, ever since I had my transplant, I've had allergies really bad in the spring, summer. So I'm like, oh, it's pollen. It's, the news is saying it's bad. It's that. So took some Claritin and everything that I was supposed to take. Went to DC, and then the next day I like felt worse. Friday I had a fever, and then on Saturday it went to 104 and I was throwing up, and just 24 hours of being sick, and I actually almost called 911 because it was so bad. Like I couldn't walk. I was just in the bathroom on the floor. It was really bad. So I ended up talking to my doctor, going to the emergency room, being sent home, going back for IV fluids, and then they just wanted to follow up with me today. So finally today, I'm not as bad as I was. I'm not as congested, and things are coming out better. But yeah, severe strep throat, and apparently it's going around now, and you don't have a sore throat, but it is severe, and strep throat can kill you. So make sure that you go to the doctor and take care of yourself.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for coming, Amanda.
Oh, of course, as
That
soon as I got back, I was like rushing up here.
that is really special. Means a lot to me. So I
Oh, well, you mean a
thank
lot
you.
to me, Mark. Thank you so
Uh,
much. I'm so sorry I couldn't do the whole show.
No problem. No problem at all. We completely understand. So I'm gonna hand it back to Tim.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Mark, my next burning question for you is what has been the biggest hurdle in your cancer journey and how have you overcome it?
You know, I think that's a very interesting question because I think for me, and this is whatever other people do that is important because I always encourage everybody to make their cancer journey their own. I didn't have what I tried to do is I tried to make everything small. So if it was something bigger, I would try to reduce the size so that it was palatable, so that I could digest it. Um, Having big things ahead of you is scary. And so I tried to make everything, you know, I think one of the biggest things that I learned, there was one particular test, I'm not going to go into the gross details of it, but I couldn't stand it. And so when the doctor said that we have to do it, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. But I said, do we have to? And he goes, yes, we have to. So what I did was in the waiting room, I started meditating. And I don't normally do this as a regular thing, but it really, really made a big difference. Really made a big difference. So I started meditating in the waiting room. And then when I got taken into his office or I don't know what you call it, it wasn't the operating room, but it's the procedure room. I got taken in there and I still continued to meditate and I put myself in a trance. And so as a result, when he actually did the procedure, it wasn't bad at all, even though there was blood everywhere. I was like in such a meditative state, in a state of focus, that the procedure went very quickly in my mind, and it went very well. And I looked back on that and I thought, wow, that was a piece of cake. In here this whole time I was worried. Lee is laughing. I was worried about this procedure because it was something the first time I did not have fun at all. So I try to make things more digestible, and especially if I know what's coming, then I could uh, again use my mind to help me overcome that hurdle.
Thank you for sharing, Mark. That's really enlightening. It's always interesting to hear how people overcome things in their life, right? Whether it's cancer or something else. Um, so I'm also wondering, has there been anything that has happened that has been surprising in your cancer
I think the most surprising thing, and I alluded to it earlier, was how amazing this community is, the cancer community. That is special. It's in fact, I have met some of the most wonderful people, and I'm, we always say that the cancer community is not the one that you ever want to join, but once you do, you're happy to meet all the incredible people. I mean, look at here. Look at all the incredible people here. And I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet that, meet all of you if it wasn't for cancer. And so I consider cancer to be for my life, and I'm not going to speak for somebody else, but for my life, it's been a blessing. It's allowed me to really see what's important in life, what is really, really what life is all about. I met a lady, and she's 83 years old, and she said something that I'll never forget. And I was doing an interview with her. No, I was having a conversation with her. And she said, "You know what? Before I got cancer, my life was stupid." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Can you explain that? Because I'm really interested in hearing." She said, prior to cancer, and she's from Southern California, like I am. She said, I used to go to all the parties and I used to dress up and I used to have the high heels and the makeup and I was into that scene. Once I got cancer, I sat down and I looked at my life and I realized I've had my priorities all in the wrong place, because one of the greatest days of my life, after being confined to my house for 3 straight months. I did not open my front door. To finally open my front door and to walk outside was just incredible for me. All of a sudden, something I had done thousands and thousands of times before, walking out, just walking outside, it was different. It was different because I had the opportunity to really look at things and appreciate them. I look at the mountains and I look at the trees and I listen to the birds, and the sky was really blue. All these things that I walked by thousands of times, took it for granted. And I thought, man, I've been missing all of this, you know, being in a rush, being in the rat race, and just, being absorbed by the regular rigors of life. And so now I regularly, when I go outside, I always look around and take a look and appreciate what beauty there is. Just looking at the sky and looking at the trees and looking at the ground and, just simple things. And life, what's important in life for me are the small things, the simple things, and the people. The people are, and that's what makes, for those of you who don't know, after living in Southern California all my life, back in October of 23, my wife and I decided to move to Texas. And I had never made any kind of move
Mhm.
like this, out of state. And so now I look at it and I can look back and really, really appreciate it because for us, the things that have made such a big difference in our life to get away from the traffic of the LA area, to get away from the high gas prices and the hustle and bustle that's going on there, and it's all about keeping up with the Joneses there. Here in Texas, we live in a neighborhood where kids are playing in the streets. We don't have that in Southern California. In fact, that was cut off when I was, when I was probably 12, 13 years old. They said, you don't want to be out on the street because somebody can abduct you or somebody could hurt you. And so that was the impression that we had. But to see kids playing in the street and to have we have the most incredible neighbors. In fact, I was with a neighbor this morning, and we're always exchanging food, and we're always trying to outdo each other, and so it's fun. And so I had made a dish last night, and so I said, "Hey, you want to try this?" She says, "Are you kidding me? Of course." And we love each other's food, so that's a fun thing. So it's the little things, I was one of those, striving to be whatever and constantly working and now I work a lot, but it's all about community and people and engaging with people. And I talk to cancer people all day long, and I love it, absolutely love it and especially when, we can make a difference and help people.
Yes. Thank you, Mark.
So inspiring.
Did you have
Yeah,
any
and
question, Lihia?
Oh no, I mean, I'm so happy to listen to your story. I think it's the first time I listened to the whole story, the complete story. So it's so inspiring for me. And you know my mom's story, and it was so positive also. And she said the same. I remember she said, doctors are not God, so I know God is gonna help me, so I'm not gonna die. And all the years that she was like struggling, but at the same time she was also, I told you she was happy, and also, as you said before, enjoying the small things. Simplicity is one of the most beautiful things that we have in life. And especially, I always say this: if you keep your inner child alive, there is nothing more important than that, because you can be all young, healthy, sick, whatever, but you keep that joy and that hope alive. So it's beautiful.
Thank you, Lihia.
Thank
Tim?
you, Mark.
Mark, I'm curious, have there been any moments, I'm sure there have been many, but have there been maybe one or two moments here at the Cancer Conquering community that have really stood out for you? Maybe it's somebody's story, maybe it's just a moment that happened here.
I can't think of anything right off the top of my head, but every single meeting that we have, every single gathering that we have, I've learned something. And for me, I'm so hungry. And that's how I started my journey was I didn't know about cancer. I didn't know what I was dealing with. And so my journey was I wanted to learn something every single day, and I still do that here. And no matter what happens, is I want to learn and continue growing because by learning, you grow. By learning more, you could help more people. I mean, by doing interviews and interviewing people, I have the opportunity to ask the questions. And I just finished interviewing for a two-part interview with a gentleman from Hawaii, and he's from Maui, and so that was absolutely fascinating, absolutely a lot of fun, and you learn about different things from people of different cultures. If you're constantly with the same people, you don't grow like you do when you meet new people. And so learning something from people from all over the world. I mean, look at the people we have here. We have Lihia from Costa Rica,
Mm.
Juan Chico from Kenya. We have people from the United States, Carrie's from Canada. And then, other times we have people from Europe, South America. So by getting different perspectives from people that come from different areas, because peop different countries treat cancer differently, and so it's fascinating to hear, uh, what these people are saying. I want to bring on Eric, if you don't mind. This is the first time you're coming on. Welcome. Would you like to unmute yourself and say hello to the community and tell us a little bit about who you are?
I can do that. Thank you, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here. My name's Eric. I live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and I'm a stage 4 colorectal cancer patient. I've been on this so-called journey for about 3 years now. Started out as stage 3, um, ended up in stage 4. I guess I'm at a point where um, I'm kind of in a treatment for life category. I'm on chemotherapy right now, and there's no end in sight. Non-cancer people sometimes ask, well, how many more treatments do you have? How long do you have to do that? And I don't like that question because I I don't like the answer that I have to give. But I'm here, I'm deeply involved in a lot of patient communities. I keep up with the research because I refuse to believe that this is my future. That I'm always thinking about how can I get to a better quality of life and how can I help other patients get there as well. And one of the other things I wanted to talk about was just that I'm hearing so many people talk about faith and how that helps them, and they believe that God has a plan and things like that. And um, I have many friends and family members who send me messages similar to that. They say, I'm praying for you. I'm sending you good wishes. I hope God heals you and things like that. And I take all that with those are positive messages, and I'll take all of that I can get. That's wonderful, and I'm so appreciative of that. Um, but it's what's interesting about that is that I'm not the most faithful or spiritual religious person out there. I'll just be honest. Maybe that makes me the exception, but I'm kind of a cultural Christian without really following the faith that much, and that's kind of a Canadian thing. I don't Carrie's on the call. I don't know if she's the same way, but um, it's interesting that I kind of end up in the same place though. Um, one of the other people on your show said on this call said, "How do you get up in the morning without faith and hope that something that things will improve, that you're going to be better off and other patients are going to be better off?" And that's the same for me because I've tried different versions of sort of accepting this. You know, this is I have kind of a grim diagnosis. If I don't know exactly what my number is, but if you look at the numbers, it's not that great. I'm stage 4. I've got these fun lymph nodes that are helping the cancer travel around. So it's not a good situation to be in, but I, I've tried telling myself I'm likely to die soon, but that just doesn't work for me. I can't get up in the morning and feel positive if that's what I've told myself. So I tell myself things are going to work out for me. I don't know exactly how, but um, I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to try different things. And I have a huge network of support. I have many allies in this, other patients, doctors, my care team, and I'm going to figure some way out of this. And I have a young family. I have an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old, and I want to see them grow up, and I'm gonna find a way to do that. So it's just interesting to hear these faith-based perspectives, and then my perspective is not as faith-based, but it kind of we kind of end up in the same place somehow.
Thank you, Eric. Hey, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you. Georges, you have something you want to add?
Yeah, nice to meet you, Eric, and thank you for sharing in such an open way. This is what it is all about, being completely clear. When I was ill and I battled this stuff for 10 years, and I had basically 10 surgeries, and my melanoma went to the brain. I had 4 craniotomies, and 2 of the 8 tumors were not operable. I understand what you said about faith, because faith has become like a natural thing, like a simple thing. Oh, have faith, Georges. Have faith, Eric. Have faith. I'm praying for you, and it stays like in the surface. But faith is supernatural. It's not natural. And I just invite you, and we could talk about this offline, because what faith is the certainty of what you want, because you know there's something bigger than you that would help you if you take action. And I might be blunt on this, but it works that way. I grew up the same way, I just kind of kept my faith of something that I learned cultural, but it wasn't until I really found the love of God before I was sick. And I think that was in purpose, because I don't know if I would be here if it wasn't for the certainty I have that I cannot go away. I have 5 young children at the moment, a blessing like you have them now, a blessing of 5 young children who lost their grandmother of cancer 3 weeks before I was diagnosed. But what faith did to me was getting up in the morning and being thankful. Somebody mentioned tomorrow it may not happen. Oh, it was Ross. Today is the first day of the rest of our lives. So we have to be good stewards of today. What you're saying, and I probably everybody here, understands, because we've been there or we are going through. But I could tell you something right now. I see Steve Lincoln, I see William, they're looking amazing. And I met these guys a few months ago. And there's no reason. You're not a statistic. You're a son of God. And you're blessed with kids. And just open yourself up to that. Do not use it here in your mind. Do it from the heart. Let it happen. Let it flow. And that person or that source will get in. He's already in you, but open that door so he comes completely in. There's one thing I just have to share, because I feel that I have to share this stuff, because I didn't just survive for nothing and say, oh, I'll do my life. I have to give testimony. Those 2 unoperable tumors disappear by going to prayer groups, imposing of my hands behind me, and really surprising the doctors, which they only know one thing. So open up yourself and do like in Revelations, Paul said, hey, I'm knocking on the door. If you listen and you decide to open it, because that door only has an inside doorknob, Open that door, and then I will come in and we will dine together. And I'll pray for you for real after this meeting. In fact, I'm sure everybody will. You'll be okay, my friend. That's all I can say.
I want to add something to,
Yes.
I'll get to you after Dr. Gary. Eric, I have two kids myself, and they were the driving force in me wanting to beat this thing. I mean, they're everything to me, absolutely everything, and I'm sure they're everything to you as well. Uh, I made it my purpose to live for them. And what has happened in the meantime has made it even better. And I couldn't have predicted this at that time that I, got diagnosed. But my daughter had our first granddaughter back in October of 23. And man, let me tell you something. There is nothing like being a grandparent. It is the
Mm.
greatest. I mean, it is really
Mm.
the greatest. There is so much joy that we get from our granddaughter because think about it. When's the hardest time for you dealing with kids? It's in the evening and the nighttime. We babysit our granddaughter 3 days a week. And when she starts getting cranky, we just say, "Here, it's your turn. Take her home." And they live like 5 minutes from us, and so it just brings an incredible joy to our lives that we never expected. And so, these are the things in life that are just truly special and make life worth living. And so if you keep that mindset that you have, and make sure that you have the right mindset every single day, it'll happen. You'll beat this thing somehow, some way, because as you go along, you start learning and you start growing and you start getting more confident. I had a guy, his name is Mike Starks. He spoke here and he came on when I first met him, he was desperate. He didn't know what to do or anything. And he started immediately following my suggestions. And to make a long story short, he sent me a text last winter, actually. And he said, I just want to thank you for everything that you did for me. And you literally saved my life. Greatest text I've ever gotten. None of this would have happened if I would have, it's easy to give up. It is very easy to give up. And a lot of people do. And it's a sad thing. It's a very, very sad thing. But, with the right mindset, like everybody has here, there's no reason for you not to be able to beat it. You don't know how yet, but somehow, some way, all of a sudden you keep trying, an answer pops up. And, that's what it's all about. Uh, we're going to go to Dr. Gary and let Tim close it out. We're getting towards the bottom of the hour. Dr. Gary, you had something to say?
Yes, thanks, and I'll keep it short. Eric, so nice to meet you, and thanks for sharing your story and your journey and your struggles. As you can see, and you may or may not have heard, everybody on this call has similar stories, and we would not be here had it not been for our faith in God and the incredible support that surrounds us. So I want you to know that we all have our stories here. Mark has survived cancer. Many of the people, George has just talked about his faith-based journey. Um, Although I don't have cancer, I have a life-threatening blood disorder that has landed me in the emergency room near death over 80 times. And I'm a retired physician and nurse, and I have seen firsthand the power of faith in my life, I was raised Jewish and very of little faith. Met my wife, South American Catholic, raised our kids Christian, baptized Christian, and I also have two girls. And my youngest daughter had a tumor in her breast that was going to be taken out, and it was because of faith that the tumor was disappeared before her surgery. And doctors, and you've heard this many times, I'm sure, no explanation. So it's because of faith, and George's, beautifully described this, that if the body, if the body has the ability to develop cancer, the Lord has the ability to remove it. And we've seen this countless times in all of our lives. So do not give up. You are a fighter. I heard it in your voice. We all heard it. This is not a death sentence. And the only person that has judgment on you and your life is God, and your belief in Him can change your life. And I know that you're going to come through. We'll be all here to support you, and God bless you.
Thanks, Dr. Gary.
Hey,
I'm going
Mark,
to hand.
can I say something real
Go
fast to
ahead,
Eric?
Amanda.
I
Sure,
couldn't find the
absolutely.
raise hand button, sorry.
That's
No,
okay.
I just wanted to say that my son was 3.5 when I was diagnosed with cancer. He actually was interviewed by Mark last summer, I think it was, on the podcast. He has a website as well as a book called My Mom Got Sick. Though his website is cancerisanimpostor.com, and it has books for you to talk to your kids. Um, you have drive, you have heart. Just because you're not going to church every day, or, feel like, you're a devout certain religion, that is okay, because in your heart and your mental health, you're ready to fight. And cancer is as mental as it is physical. It takes a toll on everything. And a lot of the times, as a patient advocate, I see patients pass because they're ready, or they're not fighting anymore. And unfortunately, it does happen. So yes, you have stage 4, but like you said, that's not it. That's not the end. It's another chapter in my book. I myself have had 7 brain surgeries, cancer twice, stem cell transplant, broke my back, dealing with all this stuff now. I understand just wanting to put your head down and getting through it, but your drive, your children, they're here for you. They're going to support you. Use them. I did the same exact thing. And I, even to this day, if it's a conflict with my son's schedule, I'm not going to do it, because I saved my life, and I fought for him. And you could do the same exact thing using your kids, and just push forward every single day. You got this, and you're doing it for your children. Have them draw you pictures. You can talk about cancer, but not make it scary, and not make it this, taboo thing that it's scary to talk about, or you have to whisper. Bring them into the conversation, but let them know that you're fighting, and let them watch you fight. Let them watch you. Yeah, my dad has cancer, and well, he's kicking butt. He's still mowing the grass. He's still playing with us. We're still doing video games. We're still reading books. You can absolutely use that as motivation. And Dr. Gary was right, and everything Mark said as well. We're all here for you. If you ever need anything, please message any of us. But we're here for you. We're behind you. And if you need to chat, I'm always here.
Yeah,
Thank you, Amanda.
beautiful. Thank you,
What
man.
I'm going to do right now is I'm going to close out the recording. So I want to thank everyone for joining us here at the Cancer Conquering Community. And we will, in fact, let me go over the schedule real quickly. Next week, we have Zoraida Morales on June 5th. So she is absolutely fantastic. She's a cancer coach, a cancer survivor. So please join us for that. I'm going to say thank you for joining us here at the Cancer Conquering Community. We will see you next week on same time, same place. We'll see you then. Thank you.